As I stated in the position battle and the position quote unquote safe podcasts, I believe there's only one player along Syracuse's defensive line that is pretty much a lock to be a starter for the 2025 season. And I think it's David Reese. And comment in the comment section below if you agree with me, disagree with me, or you think there's another lock along Syracuse's defensive line to start. But as we've talked about with David Reese, nobody along Syracuse's defensive line has the resume like Reese has. 11 sacks in a power conference over the past 2 seasons, an all-conference player as recent as 2023. He's most likely the Fidel Diggs replacement, and he is a leader for Syracuse football. So, he's pretty much a lock to start, but you still got 3 more players along Syracuse's defensive line that also have to start alongside of him because Syracuse runs, again, a 4-2-5 base defense. So David Reese is probably going to be one of the defensive ends. I think the 2 starting defensive tackles are Dion Wilson and Chris Thomas. And I think the other defensive end spot is going to go to David Omaperiola. I think that is the biggest battle, though, along the defensive line is that second defensive end spot, because I could see a guy like Kevin Jobody or Dennis Jaquez winning it. Those are both veteran players with a lot to prove. I believe they're both entering their final season of college football. Obviously, after college, well, a lot of these guys want to go to the NFL, so this is really their last chance to prove that they can play in the National Football League. That being said, I like David O's potential again for this upcoming season. So right now, I'm penciling him in as the other starting defensive end for Syracuse football. Now, last thoughts on the defensive line, all right? This is not exactly the Purple People Eaters 2.0, okay? I don't see Alan Page anywhere along Syracuse's defensive line. But the expectation for Syracuse, going back to the very beginning of the podcast, is that they got to be better. I understand there's no Murad Watson. I understand there's no Fidel Diggs. I understand that at times the system, particularly on third downs when they're rushing 3 and dropping 8, isn't exactly ideal when it comes to getting to the quarterback. But still, last season, they were worst in the ACC in yards per carry allowed, 5 yards per carry to be exact. And they were 12th in the ACC in sacks. They're playing against some tougher competition this upcoming season. And if Syracuse's defensive line does not step up, you're going to see those good quarterbacks really carve Syracuse. It's just what's going to happen. You're going up against Cade Klubnik. You're going up against Tevin Jennings, Carson Beck, assuming that he is healthy, Darian Mensah. How about the opener against Tennessee? Syracuse is playing some pretty good quarterbacks. Now, the key with pretty good quarterbacks is get in their face. Make them feel uncomfortable. Plenty of quarterbacks could sit in the pocket, roll to their left or right, and make throws when they're not under pressure. But how many of them could do that when they are under pressure? Syracuse's defensive line, bottom line, is going to have to step up this season and be better than what they were last year in order for this team to be at least pretty good on defense. I still have faith that the offense is going to store, maybe not as much as last year, but they're going to store. This defensive line is the key for Syracuse football.